We got hards on. We're going to the end.
We asked, and the Formula One gods, they did deliver. After two snooze fests, we asked for a more interesting, fun race, and we got it. We got a road flag in quali. We got a safety car in the race. We got a bunch of overtakes from start to finish, and yet this is arguably my least favorite Grand Prix of the year. I can't hide it. I'm not. I can't hide it. I can't pretend I'm one of these people. I'm just here for the love of the game. I love the game. Don't get me wrong, but I'm also a supporter. I'm a backer. And when I'm in sports, I need someone to back, and it's difficult right now. I'm in a bad way. I'm in a bad place. There's no other way to put it. Um, if you're not sure, I will reiterate the fact that I'm a Lando fan. Lando's the driver I back. The driver I put my balls on the fucking chopping block for, and let's just say they've been chopped. It's been a tough weekend. The only thing I can be happy about is this is the same thing in sports. The second like my team loses, I'm if I don't already know, I'm straight on the fixture list. When's the next game? Because I want to right that wrong. I immediately want this bad feeling to go. I'm like, God forbid. Okay, I'm not of African descent. That was a poor accent. I apologize. That was a Wakanda accent. But God forbid, okay? This was a 2 week break type thing, or a week off was what I'm trying to say. And I got to live in this world. Now, to be fair, it was again kind of damage limitations. He still holds on technically to being the lead driver. Sure. That doesn't really matter. There's like a couple points in it. But we're gonna get into it because I'm really gonna dive into it. Because here's the thing, right? I I can put my hands up and I can talk about the driver I back and I can call them out, or I can say they're shit in this weekend or this and that. Some people, they'll die. They'll die for these people. They'll die for Verstappen. He can do no wrong. And maybe that's because Verstappen literally can do no wrong. I mean, what a world to live in. I can't imagine, right? But we'll get to that because we've got to do rate my quality, race rundown, and soft, medium, hard awards, and we're going to get into it. Now, it's going to be a struggle. I'm sure some of the big um, Jack Doohan fans out there are going to be screaming at me saying, "Where's the Jack Doohan airtime? Oh, Jack Doohan had a decent quali, a decent a decent Q3 or Q1, what do you call it? I don't know. Um, give him some more." And it's like, I get that. If there is any big Jack Doohan heads out there who aren't his family, um, I hear ya. It's just going to be really difficult for me to talk about anything that isn't me, that doesn't at least in somehow relate back to an impassioned rage I have about this weekend relating to the Lando Norris. And yeah, and here's the thing as well, sometimes when your driver doesn't do well, people look to point fingers and blame. It's always the team, so it's always someone else's fault. um at the moment, I'm looking internally. Is it my fault that I picked the wrong guy? The answer is no. You can never pick the wrong guy. Through sickness and health, I believe was the vows. I remember making those vows. Okay, and I believe they went like that. Now this is sick. This is a real sick point. But we'll get to it. I guess we'll get to it right now because quali. Quali is one of those things though where I won't be biased. I'll put my bias to the side at least for quali because I just think it's fine. Like when it comes to like a race, like I'll say this race was a 2 out of 10. I don't give a fuck, man. You know those memes like, oh, what statement's gonna have you like this, and it's like the tangled picture of all the knives. I don't care. I'll say the race was a 2 out of 10. I don't care if it was like one of the best races. Probably Australia was better. Maybe I don't really remember, but like I'll say it. China, Suzuka, boring. Would you mean bring back Suzuka anytime? Lando was had a Piastri, right? Yeah, yeah. Actually, I think Suzuka was actually pretty good from what I remember, right? Um, I'll be biased, but in the quali at least I won't be. I'll say quali was, as much as I didn't enjoy it and I probably rage quit it the second it finished. Um, I'll have to give it like an 8.5 out of 10. There were some big results in there, some big shocks, actual shocks, not like Suzuka. I don't think Suzuka was much of a shock, but you had Piastri on pole, Norris on P6. Now that was a frozen pick to my heart, mate. When that happened, like I'm thinking, our best case scenario, worst case scenario. I'm thinking worst case scenario. Okay, Lando's P2, he's behind Piastri. I'm thinking that's worst case scenario. And then I got kicked in the balls as Lando when I was watching it, right, and I saw the yellow sector time. Because it's just one of those things. Like, he was quick in practice. He was quick relatively throughout, I think, Q1 and Q2. He was setting purple sectors and stuff. And then when I see the yellow sector 1, it was genuinely like, I don't just say getting kicked in the balls as like a flippant kind of expression here. I mean that exact feeling you have in your sort of lower abdomen. You know, maybe I'm only appealing to half the demographic here, but just, you know, play along. That feeling, right? And it's just like, oh fuck no, God. And it's exactly like getting kicked in the balls, because when you get kicked in the balls, for if you don't know, it doesn't actually hurt. It doesn't really like feel of anything. I think it's portrayed because the way you react is it's as if it's like an instant pain, when really you're flinching and you're recoiling in pain because you know what's about to happen. More or less, it kind of feels like getting hit anywhere if you get hit in that place hard enough. But then, like, you know, in about a second and a half, it's going to be this, oh no, kind of pain. And when I saw that yellow sector, that was the kick, that was the impact, and then the pain obviously did follow. So that stunk, man. And you're going into Bahrain going, there's no way this weekend is a good weekend for me unless Piastri crashes out on the first lap. Unless like Russell gets a bit too excited and crashes into him on lap 1, like there's no coming out of this. Because there's no way Lando's going to maneuver through everyone and then have fresh enough tyres to be able to get past it. Or unless he like benefits from a safety car or something. So already I'm thinking the weekend's over, you know? But it's a shock and it is a surprise. And for everyone else, I can see how they loved this. They were singing in the streets. I could hear the cheers. You know, people were outside, ding dong, the witch is dead. I heard some old lady yell. You know, things akin to that nature. The Red Bulls were stinky, which was quite nice. I mean, seeing like the people who are fans of Verstappen go into meltdown online. Look at this car, they've given him an absolute joke. How the hell has he managed to fight with this? What the hell is he meant to do? It's like, welcome to everyone else's world. You know, human beings driving cars that aren't perfect, right? And you've had it for a race? Because yeah, sure, he's not had the quickest car for the other races, but he's still been pretty competitive. This one was where it was really like, oh yeah, he's nowhere. The Mercs, was it the Mercedes who got demoted? People qualified better and then they got dropped down a place. I think it was the Mercedes, maybe it was the Ferraris. I think it was the Mercedes, both Kimi and George, not even sure why, but I think that happened. They both qualified. I think Kimi was P4, right? So I don't know what happened to him in the race, because I think he finished at P11. Gasly was P5 ahead of Norris. Great qualifying from him. Gasly does little reminders here and there just to remind you, like if you maybe like, because Albon, it feels like has been given second. I mean, Albon's currently in a Williams, but at least in terms of perception, it feels like he's been given second chances and this and that. I feel like people have kind of forgotten about Gasly, and sometimes he'll do little reminders to you in whichever like irrelevant team he's at that he actually has got pace. And maybe if you gave him like a big seat, because I feel like if a big seat became available, he would not be high up in. People would think to Norris, obviously, and then your Albons and all these people, signs, obviously, all over someone like a Piastri. Even maybe an Ocon would get over Piastri. Sorry, that whole time I was saying Piastri, I meant Gasly. But he's still in there. And then obviously the Hasses in quali, you had a crash in there. Ocon crashed, Behrman was lost. I think overall it was an exciting quali. It just went abhorrently wrong for me. Getting into the race is where I'm just going to fully start my Lando piece right now of what I want to say. Now, I'm not sure if I'm defending him right now. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm just going to say some things, okay? And just follow me there. Okay? But I don't know if anyone's seen Shallow Hal, right? Starring Jack Black. Film, not sure when it came out. Google's not plugged in, can't even ask. But Shallow Hal, you know, I feel like have I been Shallow Hal? If you don't know the plot of Shallow Hal, Jack Black loves a curvaceous woman, let's say. That's the 2025 way of saying it. Loves a big curvaceous woman, but from what I remember, like everyone else can see that she's a larger lady, you know, and a chubby funster, I think, maybe a larger lady, but Jack Black sees her as, is it Gwyneth Paltrow in the film or someone? And it's like, have I been, and now this isn't obviously maybe the most PC comparison here, but it's the first thing that came. Have I been seeing Lando Norris as a sort of Zendaya type? Because everyone tells me Lando Norris is shit and Lando Norris has no pace and Lando Norris is why is the quickest car got to be gifted to this little privileged prince who can't even drive well? You know, that's what everyone's been telling me in my ears. Why are you dating her? How? Ew. I'm quoting the film here, right? And it's like, today was the first time where I looked over at Lando Norris and he had like a double chin and jaundice, you know? And it's like, oh, it's like I rolled over in bed and I was like, oh, he's not got the pace. And I was like, it's not even about the pace. I think it's like partly a mentality thing as well. But just this whole weekend, it was like the second I thought I was getting not redemption, I was getting a resuscitator on my heart. Like they pulled the plug on it. You know, so you qualify shit. I'm thinking, okay, what can we make from the race then? You know, damage limitations. What can we do? Limit how big Piastri can close the gap. Again, I have to say this every episode. By the way, I like Piastri a lot. It's difficult to have to hate Piastri just because I like Lando. And it's less that I hate Piastri. It's more that I'm terrified of him. He sends shivers down my spine. But yeah, he has a shit quali. He then gets a great start where he jumps a bunch of cars. But he didn't start inside the starting grid. He was outside of it. Great. 5-second penalty. Brilliant. Doesn't overtake Russell, even though he says he's fast as fuck on the radio. He does a bit of a knock on, you know. Watch this. And then proceeds to not overtake, right? So he doesn't overtake Russell. Pits anyway. He comes into the pits. And then we move on from there. I believe then it's like the safety car. And the whole talk is he's got completely fresh mediums. Everyone else is a little bit used. He should be, if anything, gaining a place here, and he should really get second out of this race from this position. All the gaps and margins have been closed, and he loses a place on the restart to Hamilton. Great. And now compromising position, whatever. Now we got extra work to do. He then overtakes Hamilton. Ta-da! Oh, but he did it outside the track. Great. Give the place back. Do it again. Does it again. Right. That takes a couple of laps. Then got to catch Leclerc. That probably takes a little bit too long. Finally gets past Leclerc, then can't get Russell like he couldn't in the first phase of the race. Finishes third. Locks up trying to get past Russell. And that's when I really just wanted to smash it out. I was like, you know, like in Dune Part 2, sure, the fight ends. Listen, Al-Ghib! Right? But what happens just before that? When Timothy Chalamet is standing there stabbed with the tooth of a fucking worm or whatever it is, right? I'm not actually sure if that's one. But anyway, when you stand there stabbed, for a second, you know, Javier Bardem's like, shit. Maybe he's not the son of this whole time he's been saying it, he's been bringing people on. People now actually believe with him, and he's like, yeah, we're doing this. The son of, you know. Then his fighter got rocked, and he went, oh, you know what I mean? That's me right now. Only difference is that Timothy Chalamet twists the knife around and stabs him. I'm still. That's what I need Saudi Arabia to be for me. So listen out, so I can say that again, because all of a sudden it kind of just feels like I have fiercely defended Lando Norris, and I know this is one race, but like I fiercely defended him for so long, and everyone's told me shit, and none of that has ever penetrated into my force field. Okay, I've always had a retort for everything, and today I was just watching and I was like, I have no response for this. It's just bad in every aspect. And like, to say that and for him to still go from P6 to P3, yeah, it's a quick car, but you know, he's still gained place, he's still had a good start. He was burdened by that little mistake, I guess, by the penalty. So maybe if he didn't have that, he would have got Russell in the first phase of the race, and then maybe with the quicker tire. You got to think butterfly effect. If he didn't have that 5-second penalty thing, maybe he would have went on to have overtaken Russell earlier on in the race, which meant maybe he would have been in a better position when that safety car did come, which means maybe he would have then been directly behind Piastri when it came to the safety car when the gaps were closed, and maybe his tyres would have been slightly better, and maybe he would have gotten a decent restart, and maybe he would have been fighting Piastri at the end for the win, and maybe he still wouldn't have got it, maybe he would have. If buts and maybes, none of this actually happened. Spoiler alert, none of that happened, at least in my reality. At least on my station, okay, none of that came to fruition, okay. So, with what did happen, it's like, sure, he still managed to get third, he is still leading, but I'm like, my hands are shaking, I'm in fear, you know. What did I say? After the 5-6 races, Lando needs to be considerably ahead, because, and I've theorized this, I didn't actually know it to be the case, but apparently in the contract it's like they cannot make Piastri be the number 2 unless it gets to a point of the season where he's considerably just number 2, and then he will be the number 2 driver. So for the season, the number 2 is completely up for grabs. Who wants it, you know? And it's like, this is why I was saying at the first half, just get to, you know, a decent point, 6, 7 races, 5 races into the season, have daylight between you and Piastri, and then when it gets to a race where you need Piastri, they can pull that second driver card, and then this season's going to be a coast. It's going to be you coasting to the end because you've got your driver on side, and all you're doing is facing other teams who come to play each weekend. Mercedes look quicker this weekend. I'm sure Ferraris will look quicker another weekend. I'm sure Red Bull will be better another weekend, but no one's going to be consistent enough to fight McLaren. So now this just confirms what I really didn't want, which is, because there is no daylight at this point of the season, and we're going to have to fight a little bit more for that, it is going to be papaya on papaya crime. Okay? It's going to be an in-house dogfight here. And at the moment, not even purely off pace, but off mentality and stuff, I'm terrified that Piastri is not only going to win, but maul him. Have they got the same amount of race wins in their career, I think? Look, Lando's got a lot more poles. But I'm just... Here's another argument I always had for Norris, right? People would always say, Piastri's this good and he's young and he's got experience, he's still going to grow. And I'd go, Lando's young. Yeah, he's got more years in the sport, but he's not 20. Like, he's what, 24? Maybe 25? Like, people are saying it like, oh, Piastri's going to keep getting better, as if this is the finished article for Norris, right? It's like, yeah, Piastri is going to keep getting better as he gets old and gets more experience, but also Lando's going to be getting better and getting more experience, and then surely that gap's going to, you know what I mean? But now I'm like, is Lando getting better? And it's one of these things where it's like, and where I got most of my belief in Lando was actually when he had a less quick car and the performances he'd get out of that less quick car. And we've seen it this season and just with drivers in general. And I've heard Christian Horner say this, but quick cars are hard to drive. You know, they're never easy. And it's like many other drivers, maybe he does just get the most out of a pretty good car instead of the most out of an excellent car. And maybe more of his imperfections are shown when the car is perfection. I don't know. This is all literally going off Bahrain, but I was so confident Bahrain was meant to be an easy one. It was meant to be the banker. It was meant to be the one that couldn't fail. It was meant to be the one that would never fail, you know? And here I am standing in the fucking ruins of it all. But yeah, look, I'm sorry. I know. I said that this might happen. This was just going to turn into like a whole gather round sort of. But I think this should be enjoyable for, if you hate Lando, look, laugh at me, piss on my face, or shit directly in the comment section and spit all over my grave. I get it. And if you like Lando, I guess this is sort of therapy. This is, you know, hi, 20, you know, this age, nice to, yeah, I'm a Lando fan. You know, oh, okay, and everyone sort of pats me on the back and listens to my story. Okay, this is what this is. I'm sorry. Like, I know I should be talking about, oh, Bearman, oh, P20 to P10, whoa, the Brit from Chelmsford. But it's just like, I'm kind of preoccupied right now. You know, my guy's on life support. Sorry, mine's a little bit somewhere else. That being said, Hamilton P5 from like P9, I think, that's pretty decent. Had a decent drive, it was pretty exciting. I think, yeah, Leclerc was P4, so they finished directly next to each other. I don't know what happened to Kimi. He was P11. I'm sorry, my head's gone. My head is just gone right now. I'm rattled. My head's on Mars. Do you ever meet like fans? Like, I remember used to meet Arsenal fans back in there when they were going through that really bad long patch of form. Like, you know, partly Emery. They brought in Lundberg for a while for like 3 games. Basically everything end of Wenger, post Wenger, until it started getting better with Arteta, right? Everything in that period, and then it got to a point where they'd been through like a few years of it, 4 or 5 years of it, whatever, Bellerin fucking up, Watford away, and just, you know, Troy Deeney always calling them weak and stuff, and you'd meet him and they'd go, what team just put? Yeah, I like football. Arsenal, you know, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, yeah, and they just have that defeated Now when you meet them, you wish you didn't because it's insufferable, right? But they just kind of had that. It's like, yeah, I like Formula One. Lando, yeah, I know. And and he's leading the thing right now. But it's just that I'm getting premonition. I'm like seeing the future, mate. I'm seeing the future. Let's get into the soft, medium, hard awards. I'm sorry, this hasn't been the most all-encompassing episode, but I mean, you know, we're gonna have the Saudi Arabian one next. It's not the easiest track. Maybe Lando will outdo Piastri on it for that reason. Maybe he's driven it more. I don't know. I don't know if any of those are true facts. I'm just, it's hopeful, though, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Soft award, I'm going to give to Lando. Qualified P6. And again, like I said, every time I thought I got joy, it was just sort of undertaken. And I was like, oh, no. A good start. Oh, no. Oh, he gets past him. No, he doesn't. Oh, he gets it. No, he locks up. Oh, he's going to... No, he gets overtaken. And then, you know, and I know maybe tie deck was a bigger thing than maybe I'm giving credit for in this race. Because I remember when I was watching him trying to catch Ross when he couldn't, and then he got overtaken by Leclerc. I was just thinking, this is just more ammunition for the enemy right now. It's like in World War II, the Battle of Dunkirk, when everyone had to evacuate, and we left all the tanks and shit, which the Germans could then use, and they could use all our artillery. I just feel like I'm behind enemy lines, and we're just leaving shit here to get used against me later on. Can you tell I watched a history video on YouTube when I went down a rabbit hole the other night when I was meant to be sleeping? It was actually 4 a.m. Yeah, I learned about Dunkirk, thanks. I've seen Christopher Nolan's film. But, you know. I mean, look at me. I'm a shell of who I used to be. Medium award, we're going to go to Russell. I know that's harsh to say it's medium, because he actually had a great drive, did everything he needed to do. But once again, it's pretty boring. It's sort of clean nose driving, not much overtakes, just sort of clean air, put the lap times in, get the job done, and he massively did that. And he had that DRS problem. Feels harsh to give him the medium award, but I am, mainly because maybe I was just a bit bored by it. You know, it's not my... Russell's very much this season been a bunch of P2s, a bunch of podiums, a bunch of, you know... showing up, you know, the Ricky Gervais meme where he's like at the pub and he turns around and she's there and he's like, oh, you know, it's like you're showing up and then it's just sort of I'm here too type thing. And he is there, he is constantly there, you know. You're in the cool down room and then you just hear that plummy little accent, fuck, you know. When did Russell's here? Russell, we just watched about 20 replays, you weren't in any of them. Where'd you finish? He's peaked it, you know what I mean? It's just like he's just always there. Credit to him. A hard one I'm going to give to Piastri. And honestly, I'm going to stop saying his name from now on. Voldemort style. Thou who shall not be named, bro. I'm finished with it. I'm done. I can't. He's in my nightmares. I'm seeing his blank expression. Every time I close my eyes, I hear his voice. You know, he whispers in my ear. And he says something along the lines of, you know... I'm going to be world champion. And in most realities, I would love a world. Oh, we've had Verstappen winning all these years. New world champion. And it's Piastri, great, likeable driver. Oh, but Piastri is Norris's teammate. And Norris was meant to be the one. And Piastri's actually him. And now it's just like, fuck, you know. Like, I need to stop, you know. I don't want to call him the Dark Lord or anything. But, you know, you know. He should not be named. I don't need him appearing in my mirror. I'm not saying his name in my mirror 3 times. I'm not risking nothing. You know, I've been looking into satanic rituals. I've been looking into sort of little, you know, juju related stuff, essentially. I believe they call it the black magic. Okay, look, I've been looking. I'm not talking the camera. I believe that's a type of camera for my camera nerds out there. But you know, I've been looking into sort of pentagram, just anything, you know, curses, killing donkeys on Australian soil, just whatever we can do to just sort of cause a DNF, because I don't care if it's good luck. I just need the championship this season, or it is an eternity of humiliation and pain. That is in my near future, you know. So he who shall not be named is who literally is in my every waking thought at the moment and nightmare. And I can only hope, because here's the thing, right? I do stand by it's as simple as this. If you out-qualify Piastri at Saudi Arabia, You know, nothing less with the car. It is the quickest car, and people think I was saying it's not the quickest car. I know it's the quickest car. What I'm trying to say is it's not why are we acting like this is the quick. Every single time there's a new quickest car, we act like that quickest car is the quickest car the sport has ever seen. And when I say that, I don't mean just because you put in the fastest lap time at a race. That's what I'm saying. I mean comparatively speaking with the rest of the cars, that's what I would consider the quickest car. I would consider the quickest car in history to be the car with the biggest gap to the second quickest car. Right? Anyway, my whole point is pole, like, and my McLaren should be on pole, right? And if that's the case, it is as simple as you go on pole, and if you out that's out qualifying Piastri because there is no thing better than pole, right? Okay, you go on pole, you get the tidy race start, he wins the race. I'm pretty sure I'm confident enough that will be the case because I'm confident in the clean air, in the car, with the right headspace, that will be delivered. A lot of the work gets done on Saturday at the moment. That's the situation we're in. You know? A lot of the work gets done on Saturday. Be the better qualifier. And you should be good. I'm gonna end it here. I'm going insane. I'm going insane. I feel like every single one of these episodes recently, I end them by doing a little team talk, like I'm speaking to him directly. You know, which he wouldn't want because I'm just going to stress him out more. But Saudi Arabia, pole and good start, and it'll be a win. Manifestation. You know, I'm taking up new interests. I'm a believer. Anything, whatever it takes. End game. We're in the end game now. We're very much not. It's a long season. That's the thing. Here's actually one thing I didn't cover. Another thing related actually that I haven't spoke about. And this is came through fear that I've researched some of this. And what's made me a little bit nervous about Norris is that in F2, you know, when he went head to head with Russell and Albon, you want to know something? In that season, Lando won the opening feature race at Sakir. That was his only win of the entire season. I believe in F2 you get the feature race, you get the sprint race. Okay, so that's split up into that. Obviously, Russell won that season. Albon was third, Norris was second. Russell won 4 feature races, 3 sprint races. Albon won 3 feature races, 1 sprint race. Norris won 1 feature race. That's it. No sprint race. Norris had 1 win. Albon had 4 in total. Russell had 7 in total. Albon finished third. Norris finished second. Norris was there. Like P2 in Austria. P2 in Hungary, P3 in Barcelona. Like he was probably consistently on the podium, doing the business, but he was not consistently getting wins. You know, is he not a winner? I don't know. This is the kind of things I'm doubting. I'm asking myself now. Piastri in his season, obviously racing against different people, and it was a different format slightly. They had like 2 sprint races, like things were different, but there was less like locations. But he had 6 wins in 20. Compared to Russell's 7 wins in 24, you would assume that if Piastri had an extra 4 races, he'd maybe get a win or 2 out of that still. So he basically matched, maybe did slightly better than Russell. Different field, different competitors or whatever. He was going up against like Schwartzman and Lawson and stuff, who obviously I don't think are as good as the competition of Albon and Russell. But regardless, you know, it was a good year, but still, Norris managed to get P2, 219 points, beating Albon's 212, losing to Russell's 287. But he had 1 win, 3 less than Albon. 6 less than Russell. So this is the kind of things I've been Googling now manically at 4 a.m. because I'm like worried. I've aged 4 years. You know? My phone face recognition doesn't recognize me anymore. This phone used to be owned by a youthful person. Why are you trying to get into this young person's phone, old man? It says to me, and then the phone spits out into my face. I'm getting wrinkles. You know, my bowels. I can't control them. Okay, but you know, it's aging me. Please, Saudi Arabia. This is my promise to you, powers that be. You know, I will be a better person. You know, I will do what needs to be done. Anyway, I'm really waffling now, but we got hard and we're going to the end. I'll see you for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Please, pole win Lando Norris.